see. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I'll fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay. Won't look away. The storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the.
Right before the beat drops.
I know. I was like, we are the beat.
However, the outro starts right where the beat drops, like right where we left off. The outro picks up. So you have to stay for the whole thing, and then you can hear 20 seconds further into the song. It's very important that you do that. I don't know why, but it sounded good.
I would stay for that. In fact, I will stay.
No other reason. Right. If for no other reason than because I made it. Hello, welcome friends to AUTHORTUBE chat. We are dual streaming on both my channel and Kate's channel today. She's over here, not over here. There's no one over there. She's over here. We're dual streaming today, and it's my month to host, so you get me on the left side. Welcome. Mm-hmm. I am coming to you from my messy office, obviously. Today we're going to be talking about The Ballad of Mulan and Mulan 1998, the cartoon, and also Sidfield chapters 4 and 5, and also what chapters we'll be reading next month, and also what book we'll be reading next month, and also when we'll be having AUTHORTUBE chat next month, and that's it, I think, but also whatever else we decide we're going to talk about. So let's say hi to our friends.
We're on top of it.
Hello. Hello. Hello, Grayson. Welcome. That's a me. Hello, Kitty. That's a Kate. Hello, Cool Gamer. Hello, Jazzy Ray and Christian and Marty. I read over here and it's really tiny, and then I have to go over here. I can't do the thing with okay, anyway. And Heather and JC. JC is on both channels. This one's from Kate's channel, and this one is from mine. You can see the comments, correct?
Yeah.
Now, because you couldn't before.
I couldn't before, but I could see the comments, but it was one of those where like you couldn't click on them.
Can you click on them?
I actually cannot click on them.
Can you comment? Is there?
But I can. Yes, that is the difference. I feel like I can comment in the thing now. From here.
Okay.
Let's see. Test. Aggressively.
Well, yes.
Oh, it does it in mine.
Yes.
So I have the little link. That's quite cool. Okay.
Yeah. So because that's the thing. The only thing that I don't like about dual streaming is like, if you are in one chat or the other, you won't see other people's comments unless we specifically pull them up. But it does allow for your co-host, to comment from StreamYard rather than having to have it open on theirs as well. It's crazy, but it's fun. Fadina says, "Happy last week of camp, everybody." You know, if you're doing that sort of thing, like working.
You too, Fadina.
Right. Darlene says hello. Aced Coffee also says hello. I have to choose. I can't be in both. It's fine. Just pick one. You can whichever. We don't care. Yeah. It's the glory of doing two streams. Hello, Rayburn. Hello, Laura. And Chloe and Kate again. And I'm not even going to attempt to say your name, but hello. Welcome. That's it. That's all we got. So technically it was my turn to pick Mulan. But then Kate said we should do a poetry because we don't have much time and we should do Mulan. And I was like, that's a great plan. We should do that. So my first question for everyone, including Kate, is, did you read or watch Mulan?
I love how on top of it you are with these prepared questions. Yes, I watched Mulan yesterday and it was everything I wanted. I was very obnoxious singing along to all of the songs. I did also read the like basically 3 different versions. That link I sent you that I think you have linked in the description. I don't know that I linked it on mine. Of the ballad. I read each one, and you could see like a little bit of differences between each, but they were all basically the same text.
Yeah, I read through 3 or 4 different versions of the Ballad of Mulan, and I do have those linked on the website. I don't have them linked down below, but they are linked on the website, which you can find at thehexlibrary.com.
Which is a very cute website. She crushed it.
I crushed. It needs updated. We don't have this month's on there yet. Last month, if you went there before we announced, you could have seen what the announcement was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You can spoil yourself. I didn't update it because I've been doing write-a-thon things. So I didn't have time to update the website yet. But, however, so I did read like 3 or 4 different versions. They were different, but the same. And then I did not technically watch the movie. However, I mean, I've seen it 3,000 times. But I did watch a YouTube video that was all of the songs from the movie in order. So just the songs. That's it. And then I watched, which I did link below, Jiran J. Zhao's video where she compares the Mulan cartoon from 1998 to actual, like what was historically accurate and what historically was not accurate. And like I said, that is linked below, and it was very fun to watch. I love them anyway. Like they are super fun to like just hear like their excitement about things that are interesting to them. So it was a fun watch regardless, but also because it's Mulan based and we love the Mulan.
Yes, that's what I had never watched anything from them before, and I only managed to make it, let's see, 6 minutes in, but I was very entertained, have since subscribed, excited to watch a lot more.
Have you read their book?
No.
It's the Iron Widow that was like super popular last year.
Oh my god.
Where it's like the Chinese, like the mechas, like the big machine things, like the people pilot them and fight against the evil. And I've read it. It has a throuple, like just a natural polyamorous throuple.
Yes.
It is so good. It's so good. I'm very excited. The sequel comes out this year. They're fantastic. I love them, and their book is great. So, you know.
Wow. Well, things I need to get from the library.
Like put that on my list. If you are new to AuthorTube chat, this is basically just where I give Kate an entire list of books to read over the next couple of months.
It is very true. Yeah.
Aced Coffee said, I watched Mulan, both the 1998 animated and the 2000, and I'm going to assume 19 live version because I don't know if there is a 2009 live version, but that's okay. Didn't read it though, but it's still on my TBR. That's fine. It's very short. It's like a couple of pages because it is just a historic ballad. What is the word I'm looking for? That is not the word I'm looking for. It's like a fairy tale. It's like a fable.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely a fable. I did read up about how, and they mentioned it in their video that you linked, but it's like, this is, by most historians, they say it's not an actual historical event that took place. Mulan was not a real person, but she was a fable or a fairy tale at the time, is kind of the general consensus right now.
I mean,
who knows? It could change.
It could change. Laura says, movie, yes. Reading, unfortunately, no. There's still time.
Apparently, and it really is. It takes like 2 minutes max.
I read all 4 versions like immediately following last. Well, I say last month on the tube chat, but it was actually this month. But you know what I mean? Like the last one, like within the evening. So Not 2019. There actually is a 2009 live version of Mulan. It's really cool. Okay, well, more things for Kate and I to look up because we are all about the Mulan. However, if there's no Li Shang, it's not worth watching.
Concur. Co-sign.
There is like some great commentary on Li Shang in that video. Once you get there, it's so good. I was laughing so hard. It was great. It was very, very wonderful. Because he is like the original Disney Bicon, and it's just
oh my gosh,
all the fun.
Yes.
So what do you think was no, not what do you think? How well do you think Disney was able to take this short little poem and turn it into a story that worked for their demographic?
Oh, they crushed it. I will say that I'm supremely biased, as Mulan was like my favorite Disney movie growing up. I was like, Mulan's such a badass, and like she's the coolest character ever. And my dad used to recite that the greatest joy and honor is having you for a daughter line to me. Like so many great things about Mulan for me. And so I just love it. And I think they did a great job. I think they got the heart of it, which is just because the fable is so short, it's easy to kind of extrapolate and still stay true to it, which is just a woman goes in the place of her father to war. The war happens, which they actually gloss over very quickly in the poem or in the ballad. I thought that was going to be a bigger deal, but it was like not at all. It was just like she went, she left. It took place for like 10 years or whatever. She's back. And so
she went to 6 different cities to buy a bridle and then a saddle.
I know, it was so
blanket, and then
she went to the north and the west. Yes. And that was more important than what actually happened in the war. But you know what? Fair. And all she asked after she was getting her accolades was like, I don't want a position of power. I just want to return home to my family. And that feels very true. That's literally a scene in the movie where she's like, nah, I'm going to go home.
I just want to go home to see my family. And then grandma says, do you want to stay forever?
Yes. So good. So good.
I would very much like to stay forever, grandma. Thank you.
Yeah.
The one thing so those of you who didn't read the ballad, because I feel like there are more people who know what the movie's about than know what the ballad is about. Mm-hmm. The ballad was really just like the war conscription came. Her father was unable to go due to being injured from previous battles. She had a younger sister and a younger brother, which I think was interesting because in the movie, the dog's name is Little Brother.
Yes.
And I think in the 2020 movie, she had a younger sister, but not a younger brother. I have vaguely remember watching parts of it, but I haven't watched the whole thing. But yeah, so in the ballad, she had a younger sister and a younger brother, but both were too young to really go to war. And so she disguised herself as her father or her father's son and took his weaponry and his armor.
Yeah.
There's a part in Giron's video where they talk about how at some point in that time period, the armor of the soldiers, like you were responsible for having your own armor, because at any point the civilians could be pulled into the militia. That was kind of their purpose, was like everyone was a reserve. So you had to like have your own armor. And then there was a point where armor was so expensive that it was used as like a trade form for the rich people. It was more valuable than coin and jewels, basically. So interesting. But yeah, so Mulan was able to disguise herself as a man for 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years. No one caught this woman having a period in 10 years.
Right.
And that's questions. That's the one thing that I find like Like, you know, she's a little booby. Okay, like I get that. Like some people have boobs, some people don't. Maybe Mulan didn't have no boobs. Sure. But like in 10 years, no one saw. I find it hard to believe.
Yeah. Yeah. And over the course of the movie, how long does that actually take? It's like, it feels like, I mean, they have a couple montages, so you don't really know. But it doesn't
6
seem
months
that
tops.
Yeah.
6 months tops.
Yeah. But so then in that instance, she would still have to do I know it's a children's movie, but like I have
Well,
questions.
there's the whole scene where she's naked in the lake and the guys all jump in
She's just like,
and Mushu bites the guy on the butt.
yes. Her little horse brings her wrap and she's just like, okay.
You guys later, peace. But yeah, she comes home 10 years after. And I think the version that I read, she was never actually like there was no like big reveal, but her friends all showed like the people that she fought with showed up and they all knew.
Oh,
Like
uh-huh.
when they got there, they were like, oh, this makes sense, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I read a couple of the versions and they were like surprised, but there was no like there was no like societal thing like how dare or like whoa, it was just like, oh, okay. She was a woman. Didn't know, but cool. And then they have that line at the end, which I just don't totally understand myself, but they talk about the rabbit and like basically it's I guess rabbits run differently, maybe if they're male or female. You know what I'm
Something,
saying?
yeah.
The poem, and then it's like, how are you to know when they're running side by side? Which I think was like is a good general way of describing the rest of the poem. But I was just like, I don't know enough about rabbits.
I'm reading the ballad right now on PDF. Only 2 pages. Yeah,
Very short. Yes.
It's very short. Yeah, and I think that was the thing is like it was very common for women to bind themselves, as it is nowadays. If you prefer to do that, I just like I can see them missing that. Like even if she wasn't doing it, I could see them missing the boobs because some girls don't grow boobs. Okay,
You have that. You have all the armor and stuff on top. Like it made them much easier. You're like, okay, but yeah, I'm with you. The periods part is really kind of questionable. JC, you've never seen the movie. What are you doing?
JC has children and has never seen this. What is wrong with you?
JC, I have questions.
There's nothing wrong with you at all. It's fine. You don't have to watch it. We will not judge you, except for I will ask you what's wrong with you.
You should watch it. We will gently encourage.
Gently encourage. I never want to see the really dark version.
Me neither.
Thank you.
I'll pass.
There is also, I feel like that was a Renee Audier book. Something in the mist, that was like I think she disguises herself as her brother or just as like a random man. I don't know.
I only ever read The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Audier. I actually never read the sequel either.
I didn't finish reading The Wrath and the Dawn. I DNF'd it. I read the other two, but I don't think I kept them because I don't think I liked them enough to keep them.
Yeah.
I don't think they're up there.
Hers was hard for me because I love the concepts, but it was just more like description than I personally want.
How would I know? Because literally only like 1/10 of my books are actually in here. Who would know? Her daughter has seen it. I feel better now.
Okay. Yes.
Love Mulan. Yeah. Also true.
Or
if she trained like a man for 10 years, some of that training likely changed her physique as well, making her look more manly. I will accept that. "1998 Mulan was baby me's role model. made me so interested in history and culture from around the world. I agree.
That's
I
awesome.
definitely think that there are things that the movie got right and the movie got wrong. Again, you can check out Geron's video that I linked down below that really goes through it. But I think it, while not historically accurate, it does give you, like, if you were us who were just like white girls from Whiteville, at least gives you a peek into something different. And you can see that, like, there are other things out there, because that wasn't really an available thing when we were children, which is why books should not be banned, because then you can learn about life experiences from other people.
Yes. Yeah.
Sarah notified the stream 15 minutes late. I got notified that Kate was going live the second I hit the go live button. So, all the good. Kate's bookcase is goals. I would love to have a bookcase. I would love to have my bookshelves done.
Someday, Jess. There will be.
That's true. High stress physical activity can delay a period, but for 10 years is questionable. This is why it was a song that only lasted 2 pages.
Yeah.
Representation takes out almost a whole army by herself. My favorite part is like the people who live through the avalanche are all of the ones that had their own individual characteristics. Anyone who like looked the same, those guys, they all died. The people who were like drawn differently, those are the guys who lived. Zara, it's probably not in the description because you are watching Kate's, and it's in my description, but I will copy and paste it for you into the chat.
Yes. Someone failed.
Yes, all of the CG army just died. Like I actually remember watching that on the Disney Channel way back in the day when they did they used to do like shorts during commercials, and they did like a behind the scenes of like them drawing the army and like the CGI pattern for it, where they all come down the cliff or down the hill. I remember seeing that when I was a kid, of like how they put everybody in and like how they just did like a repeating and pulled it down further.
Oh, that's very cool.
It's one of those things that like I remember in my brain, which is weird because I forget everything. Like I forget half the stuff that happened earlier this week, and it's only Tuesday. But I can remember like these weird random moments from when I was a small child.
Yes. The unimportant things.
Do you think that the screenplay that we don't have?
Yeah.
I don't think we ever found one, did we?
I don't think so. And you know what? Disney keeps things pretty like locked down, so I would not be surprised.
Right. We could probably find one for the 2020 movie.
That might be easier.
But we don't want to do that. Gross. They upgraded the Stampede CGI software from The Lion King. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's mostly just transcripts. Yeah.
1998 Mulan also emphasized teamwork in the second half of the film. Hard work, creative thinking, such a well-done character in general. I think there's a lot of movies, especially Disney, where you watch it and you go, oof. But that one, still good.
There's a great time period, and I feel like they've done better. They've gone with the times. But Mulan really does stand out still.
There are a lot of copies of the script itself, but there aren't really copies of the screenplay. They are vaguely different, unfortunately for me, because I didn't know that.
As Jess and I have been searching up, trying to decide what to do each month, we've come across the transcript version, the shooting script version, all these different things, but we're like looking specifically for the screenplay. And it's interesting how muddled some of those are.
I didn't know that they were different things. I just thought they were the same thing. But I learned things by reading this book that we're going to talk about here in just a few. Usually we talk about that book first and then talk about Mulan.
So we were too excited about Mulan.
I was very excited. There is no 2020 movie. It does not exist. We dare not speak of it. Honestly, it was just in the order that the questions were in the folder. That one is at the top. So obviously that would have to be the question I asked first.
I've still not seen that one. I just had I have Disney Plus. I could watch it. I just felt like, why?
I know that it was on when I was at my friend's house once, like right around when it came out to Disney Plus. But like we were, I don't know, playing with her baby or baking cookies or all of the above. And maybe it was Christmas time and we were decorating. I don't know. But I didn't like actually just sit and watch it. She just hilariously, that was just her texting me.
Amazing.
Yeah. I didn't actually watch the movie, but I was in the house while it was on. So I don't, I've heard enough that I'm not really interested in watching it. But I've seen some things, but I've seen some things.
Well, that's what I see Rachel's comment, and I'm just like, oof. The problem also is that I feel like the Disney adaptation, the recent adaptations, the live action adaptations have just gotten like worse and worse. I actually quite liked the Cinderella one. And then that one's actually pretty good, I think, genuinely. But maybe it's because I didn't really love Cinderella as a kid. Like I watched it enough, but that's never been my favorite. I think they gave her a lot more agency. So it's like kind of the adaptation that works for nowadays. But I haven't like Beauty and the Beast was like, and
I love Beauty and the Beast, but mostly just because like the actors in it were fantastic.
They were good. Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I noticed like a downward trend is how I would say it. So I don't know what they're going to do about Moana, which is one of my most recent favorites. I'm a little bit scared, but it'll be years, so it's fine. Will I still see The Little Mermaid? Yes, but
I'm here for The Little Mermaid. I'll be in line. I will not be in line for it because I don't go to the movies unless it's a Marvel movie. However, unless there are things blowing up on screen, I don't go to see it in the movie theater typically, mostly because I'm going by myself because I don't have friends. And second, because,
I think there is something to be said. Oh my gosh, the Harry Styles quote came into my head. Because we saw Don't Worry, Darling. But it's like a movie. And like some movies are meant to see on the screen. And other movies I don't need to see on the screen. On the big screen. I can see it home.
I forgot that we went to I have blocked that movie from my mind. I forgot we went to see that.
Oh my gosh. I think of it every time I see Harry Styles in the news somewhere. I'm like,
it wasn't even that bad. Like it was not good, but it was not that bad.
The problem was it needed 20 more minutes at the end. That was the problem. It wasn't that bad until the end, but it's like, what are you doing?
It needed an extra 20 minutes at the end and someone else playing Harry Styles' character. Because it was not it. Not it.
Oh, man.
As much as I love him. No. The crying in the car thing. Like, what even was that? It was the weirdest thing. So last year, I guess the year before, I should say, we went to see Dune, and it was like so loud that you couldn't hear like half of the dialogue. And so we've all talked about having watched it since and been like, this makes so much more sense now. Because I can hear what people are saying.
Right.
And then Don't Worry, Darling was like an experience.
It was a movie. And that's that's the other reason I don't go see movies in theaters a lot is because I watch every movie with subtitles. And when I don't have them, I'm like, I can't understand what's happening.
I don't understand why they don't just put them on the screen. Like they have them.
They should start having like alternating showings where they're like, no subtitles.
Like, you have them.
You have the capability.
It helps people.
Just give them to us.
Just put them on there.
We all want them. Or like audio mix better. I don't know what it is.
One or the other. Okay? One or the other. The live action She in Mulan was BS, took away her intelligence and resourcefulness and wrote it off as spiritual magic. I do vaguely remember there being some of that discussion. Cinderella live action was okay. Nothing tops Ever After Cinderella retelling in terms of films. I don't think I've ever seen Ever After either.
Oh, I think you'd love Ever After.
I don't know. Listen, I am a Descendants stan, so I mean,
I'm not mad at Descendants. I also think you'd like Ever After.
They're making a 4th movie.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I think I've seen them all.
I've seen them all. Emma Watson auto-tune, not the best, but I still love her.
But okay? I liked the addition of some of the Beast got his own song. That was great.
That song gives me chills.
I agree.
Like literal chills. And like I typically, because I own it, the soundtrack, they Josh Groban sings that song on the soundtrack. And I typically, for a guy who sings Christian gospel music, he has a very nice voice. And it is, no, thank you. I don't ever want to hear that version again. Do not give me that version at all, ever. Just give me who's its face?
Dan?
I can't think of his name. It's not in here.
What is his name? It's really going to bother me because I was just thinking about that too. I was like, what? Who is this guy?
Dan Stevens.
Okay. Well, that's on him for having the most basic name I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah. Sarah's got me.
Thank you. Yes, I did see that. And that makes it worth watching for sure.
I do have questions. I love like the genetics of how a white man and a black woman made an Asian prince who then got with a black girl and they have a white son. Because Chad is Cinderella's son. Chad from The Descendants is Cinderella's son. Logistically, never happening. However, I want more of this in the world because I feel like your race should not determine whether or not you can play a part unless that part is like an actual part that, you shouldn't be a white person playing another person's part. But like when we're looking at like fairy tales and the Disney Channel, anybody should be able to play anything.
Oh,
like give me that. That's all I want.
What's the name of that? I always forget. There's like an actual term for that. I always think of it as like Shonda Rhimes casting, which I love. Because I know she does that for Bridgerton and a bunch of different stuff too. But like, I don't know what that phrase is called.
I don't either. But I feel like there should not be there. Just do whatever you want. Yeah. I don't care. Unless their race is important to the story and or culturally accurate, I don't care.
Then yeah.
Take the white people out and put other people in. I don't give a crap.
Does not matter.
It's great. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Colorblind casting. Thank you. Yes.
Colorblind cast. Let's do it. I don't think they're doing any of the original 4. I think the 4th movie is like a new set of kids. I think is what they decided to do, which I think is the way to go.
I think so. Yeah.
Children of the 90s. Can you tell me if I'm crazy? Because I don't remember We'll Be Human Again being in the animated Beauty and Beast before. Was it always there? I don't know.
So We'll Be Human Again. No, I don't remember that in the version I grew up with.
I don't know that I've ever seen the animated version, and maybe that's why I like the live action version.
Wow, you have it as I'm okay. You're recommending me books. I'm assigning you Original Beauty and the Beast and Ever After.
I have no interest in original Beauty and the Beast. Zero.
Jessica. Pain.
She falls in love with a water buffalo who kidnaps her. I have zero interest. Okay.
You're like,
First
if it's not Dan Stevens, then I don't want to hear about it.
Right. If it's not Emma Watson at the end going, how do you feel about growing a beard? I don't care.
It's really great. They made some good movies for that. I will agree.
Also, which is weird because I owned like all of the Disney movies and watched them in mass on repeat. And for some reason, I just did not like Beauty and the Beast.
I was about to ask. That's so interesting. I was not a Little Mermaid girl. And I
love
know
Little
my
Mermaid.
friends love Little Mermaid. I was not a...
But I didn't like the movie. I liked the TV show.
Oh, okay. That's different.
I had episodes of the TV show on VHS that I would watch on repeat.
Okay.
But the movie, don't really care for it.
Well, because the show had more about her sisters, right?
Yeah, it was more about her sisters and like having fun under the ocean. And
yeah,
there was no like, find a man, change yourself for him.
That's
there was none of that.
Yeah, I was like, she doesn't have her voice. I know that's like the point of the movie, but she doesn't have her voice. And like, my personal opinion is that Prince Eric is not that great. He's kind of lame. He's super dumb. I was like, no part of me as a kid was into it. The only part I liked was her hair under the water, which also you get more of in the TV show. So I'm with you. Animated for
again, Broadway show, and then animated for a special anniversary release of the movie. That makes sense. I have seen it live like probably 12 times. Because it's my best friend's favorite Disney movie. And so we've went to see it twice, I think. Like actual stage productions, and then I have 43 nieces and nephews. So I've seen it. I've seen the Disney Junior version quite a few times.
I have never seen the stage version of Beauty and the Beast. I want to though.
You should. There's great scenes with Sebastian being captured by the cook at the castle, and just like the chef and the crab like having a time, because it's not a teeny tiny crab, it's like a person who's dressed as a crab, so it's hilarious to watch.
Little Mermaid, yeah,
highly recommend. Because I've also seen that a million times. He doesn't kidnap her. She traded herself for the safety of her father. You're not wrong. However, I don't care about that distinction. He kidnapped her and he's a water buffalo. Why is she falling in love with a water buffalo? This is some monster effer things that I'm not here for. What is Ever After? I don't even know what it is.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going.
Hey, I was
1998.
So
that one?
You can't say it like that. What do you mean that one?
I feel like
with Drew Barrymore?
Yeah.
Come on.
I just feel like I know what it's about. I don't want it to be about what I think it's about. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a Cinderella retelling.
She's a furry. Don't know her names. I mean, she can do whatever she wants to do. I think we've reached the part in our day where we do this. Did you read Into Tube? I think that originally said, did you read the intro to the Foundations of Screenwriting? But we're technically on chapters 4 and 5. Did you read this month's chapters of the Foundations of Screenwriting,
which was building a character and storying character? Lots about character.
Buscoos. Are you sure?
Yeah. Did I mess it up? Did I read the wrong chapters? Did you read the chapter? I read 2 chapters.
1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. Do you know what I did?
Yeah.
I didn't read chapter 3 last time, so I read 3 and 4 instead of. Wait, doesn't make any
To
sense.
be fair, well, here's the problem. We did intro in 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 5. We did the intro in chapter 1 together.
Intro 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, yeah. So I read 3 and 4 because I didn't read 3 last time.
Fair.
So I am still a chapter behind, everyone. Welcome. I'm like, I am so confused.
I actually gleaned more from 4 and 5 than, again, as we suspected with Becca, the farther you get into the book, the more like nitty gritty there is and stuff that like is a, kind of helpful advice as opposed to him just waxing poetic about movies we haven't seen, which he still did, but.
Chapter 4 was all him waxing poetic about movies I've never even heard of, let alone seen.
Chapter 4 was a lot. The beginning, I wrote like no comments because it's just him talking about this like screenwriter friend he knows, and like it's interesting the way he weaves his personal life into this into this book. I would be fascinated to see the original, not the newly revised version.
No,
Really,
this is still oldly
It
revised.
is still very oldly revised.
I apparently am stupid. I can't believe that I read the wrong chapters. What's wrong with me? I'm falling apart.
I think this is on us for going intro in 1. I think we made it difficult from the start.
I hated chapter 4 because he was talking about like this movie, something about some guy named Dundee, and like about making an entire movie about Native Americans, that's not what he called them, taking children from the white people's houses, and then this guy had to go and like fight the Native Americans to take back the white children. And I'm like, why is this in here? I don't care. I really don't care.
Oh, Laura, what I want to know is, does he mention, because he has a couple times where he's like, in my original version of this, I talked about XYZ. And I'm like, what does he, let me find one and I'll let you know, Laura. I'll hit you up. And okay, so Jess, if you move beyond that, he actually has like good advice in the second half of that chapter, I think. Like
he did. I mean, there's some good things in there.
I thought it was interesting where he talks about there are times that the dramatic need will change during the course of the story. And he gave like pretty good examples of that I appreciated. Because I feel like when you read things like Save the Cat, it doesn't take into account like some of the external factors completely changing the trajectory for the characters. But I see that oftentimes in movies more so. So I actually really liked that he talked about that and gave examples. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I did like the part where he talked about how like your character's goals aren't necessarily at the beginning what they are in the middle.
Yeah.
They're not set in stone, whereas a lot of other books tell you that they are. Like, you need to know from the first drop on the page
what it is.
What are they trying to attain? And it doesn't make sense in a lot of cases because that's going to change once the first part of the story starts happening.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like it's one of the things that it's just having read like several how to write books now, it's always interesting that that's never mentioned. And this is actually the first time I'm reading it and one of these kind of books that they're like, what they want's going to change over the course of the story. Duh. Like accepting that that's what the story is. Let's see.
I gotta read 3 chapters next time.
He talks about the 4 elements that make up character. What are the 4 again? He's like a point of view, their dramatic need, how they transform. I thought it was interesting to be segmented out attitude and point of view. Like, he makes a point of talking about how his students often get it wrong, and it's not that big of a deal if you can't get it right. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
If you can't tell the difference between point of view and
Attitude.
that it's okay. Like, you just need to have them both there.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to separate point of view from attitude. Many of the students struggle to define those two qualities. Doesn't really matter when you're reading the basic core of your character, when you're creating, rather, the basic core of your character. You're talking, Jesus Christ, this is English. You're taking one large ball of wax and, in this case, pulling it apart into 4 separate pieces, the parts of the whole. So, yeah.
Yeah, I also, the thing that stood out to me next was at the very end, like the last page and a half or so. I don't know if you can see, I highlighted the most, where he's talking about, he gave the advice of sometimes you just have to write out what you need to like get it done. He's like, he talks about how, and I've had this happen where I'm watching something. I don't want to watch the end of, like, I don't want to watch the last season of a show I love. I don't want to watch the last episode because then it's done. He's like, and writers face that too, where you don't want to, you want to write the end, but you don't really want to write the end because then it's done. And now you have to like move on to something new and big and whatever. And so sometimes that comes out in different ways. So he talks about the example of a student he had where the whole point was it was going to be this dark, sad story, and then it became a comedy all of a sudden. And he's like, okay, just write it out as a comedy, just finish it. You clearly just need to get these words out and then tuck it away and come back to it later and write the tragedy that you want it to be. And that's what the student did. And I was like, okay, this is great advice.
Right. Like, if you feel like you're taking the story in kind of the wrong direction at the end, you can continue on in that direction. And then when you get to the end, go like, okay, I did the thing that my brain was telling me that I needed to do, but now I need to do what's right for the story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love seeing that because, again, it doesn't feel like that's something we always get with advice books. He really talks about like the nature of the writer in some ways, just being like, this is how it is. Writing is always an adventure. You never really know what's going to come out. I was like, yeah, dude.
That was one of the things that like is probably not in the original was at that part he says, Phil Alden Robinson, writer-director of Field of Dreams, told me that the same thing happened to him and that the exercise of writing it out, even though it might be totally wrong for the screenplay, was one of the most important things he learned from reading this book.
Yeah.
Which is weird when you're the one reading that. You're like, how did he read this book and take things from it? When I'm reading this book now, how did future you go back in time and tell you to write it in the book? I'm so confused.
Why I'm like, this had to have made such a splash at the time that it first came out. Like, to get a newly revised version, like, clearly it must have been like incredible at the time. And the way Becca talks about it was this was like transformative. So it's not crazy to think that like someone might have read his book and it reworked how they write. But it is funny to then read about it yourself where you're like, wait a second.
Yeah,
So
if your friends are telling you the parts that were most important to them in this book, can we just get the short version? Can we just get the version where you tell us the parts that your friends thought were important? Can we just get that version?
And here's the thing. When I think back about chapter 4, I still don't know what point he was trying to make about the beginning part. I was like, I don't need you to start. I didn't get it. It didn't really lump in with the rest of I get that you want it to flow a certain way. But like, why? I didn't need the story about his Dundee writer guy.
I also need to know the story of this niece. Like, does he end up marrying her at the end? Is this a love story? When I first began writing screenplays, I had the good fortune of hanging out with Sam Peckinpah. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
During the time he was writing The Wild Bunch, his niece, Deneen, and I had both worked with Jean Renoir on the world premiere of his play Corolla when we were students at UC Berkeley. When she came to LA seeking an acting career, she stayed with Sam at the beach. That is all that's mentioned about her in the entire chapter. That's it.
Yeah.
She stayed with her uncle at the beach. We worked together on a movie. Like, do they get married? Like, is this a love story? Is this a romance? Is this book a romance?
It is like weirdly part memoir all of a sudden for no seeming, like, again, the memoir doesn't connect super well with the rest of it. I don't get it either, Dress. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, it's not Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee.
It's Major Dundee.
Which I
from what is the name of the movie?
I think it's Major Dundee is the movie name.
Major Dundee is the name of the movie, yeah. The character's name is Oscar Saul, or is that the actor? Couldn't tell you. Because, again, he just never heard of any of these things.
Yeah, no. Crocodile Dundee, I'm here for. And actually, yes. I would have appreciated stories about Crocodile Dundee. Yeah. Major Dundee had no impact on me.
Laura says Field of Dreams is not in her version since it was made in 1989.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
So that whole thing just doesn't exist. And you don't have to live outside of your body and wondering if future Sid Field went into the past and told past Sid Field, hey, my friend Joe said he really liked this part of the book that you haven't written yet. Make sure you put that in there. And then went back to the future.
I mean, but here, this is the one time where I was like, oh, Field of Dreams. Okay. And it's nice to, and I'm sure that if I was more of a film buff like Becca is, this would all like, more of the examples would be more relevant. But I'm like over here like, okay, Field of Dreams, you've given me context for like a great movie. And then to hear that screenwriter being like, the exercise of writing it out, even though it might be totally wrong for the screenplay, was one of the most important lessons he learned from reading this book. I'd be like, oh, okay, someone great and awesome does this thing. Cool. Great and awesome within the terms of the movie. I don't know this person. I feel like I have to risk everything now. I'm like, I don't know. He could be the worst. But
I have no clue. Now, my question is, so chapter 4 didn't have any action steps at the end. Does chapter 5? I don't know because I didn't read it.
It doesn't have a, when you go farther into the book, it gives you like an exact, like, make sure to try and write this piece of dialogue. It does not have that. It has one of those where it's like, do this writing prompt, sort of this activity alongside me if you want. So basically the whole gist is that he's teaching a class on screenwriting, and the class that he's teaching is on creating a character. And so they as a class come together to create this character, and he's asking questions and they as a group have to like agree to it. And they basically create this character through her backstory, the context of where she's at within like history and, you know, what she's dealing with. So they basically narrow in on creating a character, which at this point, if you're watching this video, you have probably created a character. I did like, however, that he talks about basically there are 2 different ways to create a story. There's 2 ways to approach it. One is to create an idea and then create the characters and kind of put the characters into the initial concept you had. The other way is to create a character and then let the story sort of, the action of the story come around the character. And I would be fascinated to know which one y'all usually do. Do you usually get the character first and build the story out of the character? Or do you have an idea of a concept and then need to build a character to fit this concept?
The second one.
You create a character for
concept and then a character to make the concept happen.
Okay, interesting. Because I think I've done both, which is why I ask. I feel like usually I have a character first, but like sometimes, like with Project Death, I had the idea of this world ruled by death and trading names first, and then I was like, okay, I need a character to fit this. So that's like an easy example for me that it was like, concept character. But most of the times I think I'm character builds out the story.
So I do want to ask, which Laura, let me click on yours. There is not an exercise at the end of chapter 4, but there is an exercise at the end of chapter 3, which I read this time because I thought was part of the homework, and it was not. Yeah. So my question for you, Catherine, is: did you do the homework at the end of chapter 3? Did you write several pages about your character's life and break it down into the first 10 years and the second 10 years and the third 10 years and beyond? and write 5 to 7 pages in free association. And if you choose to write more. Because what I want to know is, A, did you do that? But also, why is this man assuming that we're only writing about grown-ass adults?
Oh, yeah. He also kind of does that in chapter 5 as well. A little bit. I'm sure he'd like tailor advice. I'm guessing he just gives this advice because most of the characters people write are adults. I don't get it.
You mean because he's hoity-toity and he thinks he's better than everyone else and he can only do true film on, a real movie?
I cannot wait until you get to chapter 5, where he definitely includes snippets of him just being funny to the class. Where you're like, you wrote this in such a way just so that you could like re-deliver your joke in book.
I want you to know that I actually worked hard in chapter 3, and I actually highlighted things and made notes. And there is literally this line that says, let's see. The challenge of creating real people in real situations is so varied, so multifaceted, so unique, so individually challenging that trying to define how you do it is like trying to hold a bundle of water in your hands. And I wrote, what the fuck is a bundle of water?
That's what makes it so difficult, Jess, is that you can't know.
What the fuck is a bundle of water? Okay.
I'm just saying.
Just saying.
No, I did not do that exercise at the end of chapter 3, but admittedly, I actually did write out in the notebook that I have unfortunately lost and cannot find, which is upsetting. But I did write out like a little bit about my character and some of the story. So I actually have like a concept I want to work with over the course of this when we get deeper into it.
Which Zara asked if we're going to do a vlog about working through the workbook version of this book.
I don't have the workbook version, but I will definitely, like, when we get into the actual writing of things, I will actually make some kind of vlog for it. Yes.
And Mateo says that they do character first.
Okay, 2 character first votes.
Concept happening to a character all in one go and separate them. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, I don't know. So was there anything interesting in chapter 5 that we should discuss since I didn't read chapter 5? Is it all about Seabiscuit? Because there was a lot about Seabiscuit in chapter 3 also.
We talk about how the context changes the content, so we get some more definitions. I do like that he mentions that when you're writing a screenplay, you're writing it for someone, for a star, someone who's bankable. So again, versus coming from the novel world where you're just kind of writing the story with no preconceptions about anything else. It's just you and like the page and your imagination. It doesn't matter. You can write the craziest stuff because you don't have to put money behind it. He does mention, like, at one point someone asks, to your point, Jess, about the age. Him and his class are throwing out possible suggestions for the character, and he asks, how old is she? And they say 24. Some people are agreeing, and he says no, late 20s or early 30s. Why, someone asks. I reply that when you're writing a screenplay, you're writing it for someone, for a star, someone who's bankable. Right now, I would think of Julia Roberts, Cameron Diaz, Charlize Theron, Nicole Kidman, Halle Berry, Renee Zellweger. So he's like, so basically,
first off, those women are in their 40s and 50s.
No.
Second off, we can't write anything for anyone under the age of 30. Got it. Don't even do it.
See, I think nowadays you might be able to get away with that a little bit better. I think it's basically the idea is have a star in mind or have a group of stars where you're like, okay, I can see this like cohort of people being interested in this role, fighting over this role. Right.
Like, have you never heard of the CW? Like, have you never heard of Vampire Diaries?
He has not, because he's stuck in what did we decide? 97?
I don't think it's that old. I think it was like 2004 or 2007.
Our edition. Okay, you're right. 2005.
2005.
But okay, though, so still not as much. He didn't. This book does not take into account the CW boon. You know.
I just, all the
Jeff
things.
and I just need an an actual newly revised and updated version.
If you're new here, I marked out the newly part of newly revised and updated because it's a lie. This book was updated 20 years ago. I don't know about you.
Okay.
But that is not new, my dude.
Let me say some other things. I do appreciate that in chapter 5, he again talks about this is all a creative process. Remember, confusion and contradiction are part of it. So if you like go on a route and you get down to that route and you're like, nah, this doesn't work, it's okay to like backtrack and go down a different route. Like it's very much like you don't have to be perfect. You're just asking questions until you find what fits for you. So he does, I do genuinely think there's good advice in here. It's just that for us, it's like a little bit
absolutely
dated. And
I don't hate it. Like, it's not
very,
like I'm reading this and going, this is the worst thing I've ever read in my life. There are actually things that I'm highlighting and I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Oh, that's a good point. But also I'm so bored by his discussing things that came out prior to my birth that I'm just like, wow, this is a really pretentious world. And I don't know that I want to be part of it.
I, again, cannot wait for you to read this chapter 5 when he literally just includes jokes because he thinks he's funny. And I did laugh at one of them, but like he's definitely like the way he's writing the story is really interesting.
I just wanted to point out that Laura mentioned Florence Pugh and Zendaya. And did I not just like a half hour ago say that the year before last we watched Dune at the movie theater, which was a Zendaya movie, and then this year we watched Don't Worry Darling, which was Florence Pugh. So I'm just saying, like, I'm apparently up with the times.
We're here.
They're also both in Marvel, which is interesting.
I mean, I feel like that'd probably be a good metric.
I do love a good Marvel movie.
Wow, really?
Any hoozle. The CW, a genre all its own. Yeah. 30-year-old dudes playing 16-year-olds. It's a fantastic time. Is there anything else that we would like to talk about with this book, ma'am?
No.
Your homework. Don't even start with me, Devasia. Are you serious? Florence is going to be in the next Dune movie. This is just like this is like a time warp. Any hoozle. Your homework is reading chapters 6 and 7, or also chapters 5, 6, and 7, if you didn't read chapter 5 this time, like me.
It's worth noting that 6 and 7 have like actual for real homework, where like at the end of chapter 7, I just went and looked, and it's like, see if you can design your opening 10 pages in a way that you introduce the main character, state the dramatic premise, and sketch the dramatic situation. So it's like, start working on your first 10 pages.
Watch Chinatown is what it says.
It also has that, yes. But
like, does that even exist anymore? Do we have to like get it on VHS from grandma's basement? I mean,
I type in where to stream Chinatown. It's on Hulu, apparently.
Okay, well,
yes, we can do it.
Fine. Okay, so don't save this reading until the day before, like we normally do, because there's actual homework in the book.
Both of us. Yes.
Got it. And now we get to your other homework.
And I'm very glad Devasia is here for this.
Right. I wouldn't lie about Florence Pugh. Me either, girl, because that girl is attractive. Okay. So for next month, all right, I'm going to hit the button on the banner button, and then we're going to do the thing. Are you ready? Are you friends ready to know what we're going to be reading and watching next month? In 3, 2, 1. Bow, bow. It still says the Passion of Hill House. Really? I changed it earlier.
I realized you have to like click save. Which I know makes sense, but like you can edit all the way through and then you can click off and it will like revert back. Oh, bless you, Jessica. Oh, Laura just watched Chinatown. It's so good. Still considered one of the best screenplays ever. We need to do like a best of the best at some point in this, which I would consider next month's to be. Look, just got it.
I win. Also, Yeah, just watched Chinatown. So good. Still considered one of the best screenplays ever. I'd never heard of it, so obviously I am in the know. If you don't know, The Princess Bride, I have the 25th anniversary edition, which was published in 1998. Kate has a much newer edition. So The Princess Bride, if you look at my cover, does yours say S. Morgenstern's classic tale of true love and high adventure? Does yours say that on it?
Mine actually does not. Mine says the original book of the cult classic film. So mine's actually the film. Okay. I mean, you know.
So when this book originally came out, it was written as if it was written by S. Morgenstern, who is not a person who actually exists. And it was adapted by William Goldman as like a book where he took out all of the boring parts in the middle and basically like talks about how it was a story that his father read to him by S. Morgenstern when he was a kid and when he was sick. And then he took out all of his favorite parts and then wrote the story in that and got rid of like all of like the political stuff and all that. So then they made the movie, and the movie has that as well. It has like the grandpa reading to the kid when he's sick, and then all of the actual parts of the movie, The Princess Bride, that's in the book. So you have to watch the movie, which came out in 1987, which is when I was born. And you have to read the book, which came out in 1973, which was prior to my birth, obviously, if I was born in 1987. And it is literally every genre mashed into one book.
Everything you could ever want from a book and from a movie. Did you mention that William Goldman, the actual author of the real book, is also the actual author of the screenplay, and I missed it?
No, I did not mention that, but you are absolutely correct. Yes, William Goldman also did he actually recently died, like within the last few years. Yeah. But he did the screenplay as well. There is we
did find a screenplay.
That's technically, it's like the final draft of the screenplay that they were using for like auditioning and things. Yeah.
It's the closest you could get to a screenplay. It's not quite a yeah.
It's definitely more action. It's not just like a transcript of the dialogue, which is what a lot of them are. It actually has all of like the directions and all of that stuff.
Right.
I didn't link it in the description, but I will put it on the website when I update the website. So
yes.
There is that. So this is it. This is what we'll be reading and watching.
And Devasia, if you somehow get away with not reading or watching
yes, Devasia, you must.
It is time.
It is time for you. I feel like Stieg watched it and or tried to read it and didn't like it.
Here's the thing. I cannot extract my own nostalgia from the movie. I read the book for the first time as an adult and still loved it though. So I'm excited to reread the book, and the movie's just like always a classic. I think it's phenomenal, but also it's like a specific kind of humor. So I don't blame someone for not liking it, much in the way that I never liked Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
It's specific kind of humor.
I'm just going to hide behind the book.
But I hope you all love it. If you've not already.
I hope you love it. And like I said, it's pretty easy to get through, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, when is the due date for our assignment?
Excellent.
Well, what is today? The 25th? Today is the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, we usually do the third Tuesday of the month.
Yeah.
But there are 5 Tuesdays next month.
Yes.
So we could theoretically do since this one was a week late, we could do next month's a week late.
I think also because we have a real assignment with the first 10 pages, I think maybe let's do it an extra week.
Let's do the 23rd.
Yeah.
Okay. May 23rd. That's when your assignment is due. May 23rd.
I expect you all to have 10 pages.
10 pages. Or, whatever you feel like doing is fine.
Yeah.
And And that's it. That's all I've got. Does anybody else have anything else they would like to add? Mage was born in 1960, so I like old stuff. That is absolutely fine. I don't think 60 is that old. My mom was born in 63, so.
Oh, yeah. No, my parents were 56 and 57.
Wow. That's because your parents had children late.
They did, yes.
Because you are younger than me.
And I have 2 younger brothers.
Your mom must have had like 3 geriatric pregnancies, which I don't mean in a mean way.
No, it was considered, yeah. Well, she was 4 technically when she had me, but like I believe even at that time that would have definitely been considered geriatric.
I think 30 is a geriatric pregnancy.
Still at 30? I thought they bumped it up to 35. Is now.
I don't know, but
that was my other 2, my 2 brothers. Trying to ask. Oh, Q&A.
Hi, puppy. Flash has like gotten to the point where he's like, "Are you done yet? Because I would really like to leave this room."
Yeah, he's like, "It's time, please." Yeah, I have Zelda laying under my desk, unbothered.
There is at least 1 cat in here, and I'm surprised that she is not in my face because cats, you know.
Oh, Merlin. Yeah.
Oh, hello, Zelda.
She's chilling.
Who? My mom was 55 when she had me, and was the only child.
That's impressive.
I was adopted later in my mom's life than even that. That is insanity. No, thank you. No, thank you.
I mean, no thank you to all of it, but
all of it. No thanks.
I will pass on all of that, but you know.
I was 34 when I was gifted a 15-year-old. It was fantastic. Actually, I would have been 35 because she is 20 years younger than me. But any hoozle, that's all we have for today. We've discussed all of the things. You have your homework assignments.
Yes.
You can find us on the social media. If you're on my channel and you don't know Kate, you can find her linked down below. If you don't know who I am and you're on Kate's channel, she probably did not do anything.
I did. I linked you. I did well.
Okay,
I
good
think
job.
you're the only thing I linked, but I did link you. She's linked. Check out Jess.
And let us know how you like this 2-party system of double streaming on each other's channels. Also, let me know how you feel about my super cool AUTHORTUBE chat logo that I made all by myself with help from Canva. Yeah, you know, all the things. I'm going to hit the goodbye button. So wave goodbye, Kate.
Bye.
I'm coming for the throne.